Welcome back everyone to the Coos Art Museum's online art classes where we bring the art into your home. For more information about the Coos Art Museum, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube. Before we get into our drawing, let's go over our art supplies. Today's project is pretty basic. All you'll need is paper, a pencil, and an eraser. If you'd like to add color to your drawing, you can choose whatever color medium you like, color pencils, paint, crayons, markers, whatever you'd like. I'll be providing a photo reference in the video, but if you'd like to change your bridge up a little bit, feel free to use any photo reference you like. Covered bridges, we don't use them as much anymore, so when you find one, it's an extra special treasure. I know for a fact we have a few covered bridges here in Oregon. Before we even jump into drawing our covered bridge, we're going to break this down to simple, basic shapes. Our first few drawings we're going to be doing are simple practice, so don't use your fancy drawing paper for this one. There are a lot of different ways to draw a three-dimensional box. I'm going to show you the very first method I ever learned when I was a kid. It was actually a PBS show called The Imagination Station with Mark Kistler, and he showed how to draw these amazing three-dimensional designs. To start off, we're going to use 2 dots and then put a third dot in the middle. We're going to put a dot above and below, and then connect the 4 outer dots. You're not going to need the middle dot anymore, so you can erase that at any time. The next part is to draw down the vertical lines. Just remember, these lines go straight up and down. We're going to use the 2 side dots and the lower bottom dot. Make sure those lines are going straight down. Sometimes we're tempted to curve them out. If you're having a hard time getting your line straight, feel free to use a ruler. The next thing you want to look at is that your 3 lines are roughly the same length. That means the lower dot line is going to come down a little bit farther than the 2 side lines. After that, connect the sides up with some diagonal lines. And there you go, a very basic cube shape. There are so many different things that you can draw once you learn how to do the cube shape or the cylinder shape. So play around with it, have fun with it, and just fill up your page with as many cube doodles as possible. Now that you can draw a very simple cube-shaped box, I want to introduce another art word for you, which is called the vanishing point. If you've been drawing for a while, you've probably heard of this. A vanishing point is the point on the horizon where something disappears. We often see that as with the road demonstration. As you look at a straight road driving down, as it gets farther away from you, it gets smaller and smaller in size until finally it just disappears. So you can think about that with the road, but it works with other objects as well. Say we have a tree growing over here, nice and big. But then I have another tree farther down the road. I'm not going to draw it as large. I'm going to draw it much smaller because it's farther away. And if I draw an even tinier tree, you can't even hardly even see it because it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So taking the idea of a vanishing point, let's look and see how that goes, how that works with a cube. So for this one, I'm going to draw just a very basic square. And then I'm going to make my vanishing point. And you can make it anywhere on the circle that you want. Doesn't matter where. Just pick a spot and I'm going to put my vanishing point right there. So everything wants to converge onto this point, moving towards this point. So I'm going to start off here with this top corner and I'm going to draw a straight line going straight to that vanishing point. Just like that. Then this cube over here, I'm going to draw a line over there, coming straight to that one. And then this point here, drawing straight over to there. So you can see how this now looks like my cube is just kind of bursting from space. So once again, let's practice that out a little bit. Let's draw another square. This time I'm going to have a different vanishing point. I'll have this one come down here. So these lines, straight. Now what about these ones? Well, if I were to draw a straight line, it would go right on the inside. So unless I want my cube to look kind of see-through, you won't see those lines, so I won't have to draw them. What if I have a longer shape? And I have a vanishing point up here. So I'm going to draw a line up there and draw a line there. And then just test. See if you drew a straight line, don't make it curved, draw a straight line. If it doesn't show up, you don't have to draw it. Okay, let's draw this line over here. Let's have a vanishing point here. Boom, boom. This all here is called a 1-point perspective, meaning there is just one single vanishing point. We'll get into 2-point and 3-point perspective in a different video. Let's just wrap our brains around this perspective for right now. What happens if you don't have an object that's that long? You only want it to be this long. Well, the perspective still is there. You just don't have to draw all the way down there. So I'm going to cut that off. And here I have another box going. So let's just practice that out here. Here's another box here. We'll pretend the vanishing point's over this way, but I'm only going to have the box come up a little ways. Again, these lines are relatively the same length. Since this one is down just a little, since this one's the closest to the vanishing point, it's going to go out a little bit further, but if you measure between these lines, they should be roughly about the same distance. By learning how to draw these three-dimensional shapes, you've actually learned almost everything you need to know on how to draw a covered bridge. So practice this up till you feel really good about it, and then we'll continue on with the covered bridge. I'm going to do a little trick to help me find the shapes that I need for this specific drawing by using tracing paper. Place your tracing paper over top of your reference photo, then sketch gently on top to find your shapes. I'm going to use a bright, vibrant color so you can easily see them. For the front of our covered bridge, you're going to see pretty much a square shape. Two lines are going to come off the right side points and move back. Now as things go farther away from you, they're going to get smaller in size. So you'll see that those two lines slowly start to meet each other. We're going to cut them off and create our box shape. Remember, as you're drawing this with pencil, use a light pressure so it's easier to erase. Once we have our shape blocked in, now we can work on the roof. Looking back at the reference photo, you'll see that the roof shape on top of our box is a simple triangle. So I'm going to draw that triangle shape on top of my box, and then I'm going to follow the ridge of the roof line down to the end. And again, because it's moving farther away, it's going to get smaller. So you'll see that it's angling down towards a point. That point is called the vanishing point, which you might have heard of before. Now that we have the shape, it's time to begin to add in our details. I'm going to add in the opening for my covered bridge. And then create in the lines for the road. The last step in sketching this drawing out is to add in the feet of the bridge, I don't know what they're called. If you know, let me know in the comment section below. I know how to draw them, I just don't know what they're called. Anyway, we're going to use our blocking abilities to block in those shapes. This is where you can really begin to add your own personality and design ideas. You don't have to follow the reference photo completely. I want to add a few windows in my covered bridge so it's not so dark and creepy. So feel free to add windows or openings, whatever you'd like. And there we go, a basic sketch of a covered bridge. We often like to learn how to draw something and go, yay, I drew it and I don't ever have to draw it again. But that's not the point of practicing. Point of practicing drawing something is so that we can draw it again and get better. Whether you want to draw a castle or a city skyline, or you want to draw another covered bridge, I hope you can use these newly learned skills to continue creating art. And don't forget, we love to see what you guys are creating. So whether you're a beginning artist or you've been arting for years and years, make sure to share your artwork with us by using the hashtag CamArtAtHome on your social media. If you haven't yet already, follow the Coos Art Museum on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you're still feeling arty, I recommend one of these videos. Thank you again for hanging out with us, and don't forget to practice.